I want you to think about that feeling when you first start planning a trip. The excitement of dreaming about where you might be going, about booking a flight, imagining the new place, of planning adventures. And then if you're like me, second feeling starts to creep in real quickly. The fear, the dread, the anxiety, those negative feelings, right? Hi, everyone. My name is Dr. Wada. I'm a physician. I'm a Sjogren's patient, and I love to travel. Though I will say traveling with the 3 kiddos is a bit like parenting in the wild. But the mental checklist of the what ifs. What if my dry eyes flare up on the plane? What if I run out of mouth lozenges? What if I am so fatigued that I can't enjoy the things I've planned? Suddenly, the joy gets overshadowed by a mountain of overwhelm. I call this the travel treadmill, and it is a symptom of a much bigger problem. And today, we are stepping off of that because travel with Sjogren's doesn't have to be about just surviving. It can be about truly thriving. And I'm going to share my personal and professional roadmap to help you do just that. Before we even talk about packing lists, we have to start with the mindset shift. I actually just talked about this with a patient this week. The most important tip I can share with you is to reframe travel. It is not just about vacation. It's an act of rebellion when we do this. I had the incredible honor and opportunity to give a TEDx talk a few years ago. And during that event, I met an incredible young woman. She is a travel blogger. I still follow her. She's absolutely incredible. And her TEDx talk that she gave that day continues to resonate with me years later. That means it was a really good TED Talk. And what she said and what I learned from her is that when we take a trip, we actually experience 3 trips along the way. The first trip is the anticipation. It is the trip that we imagine, the trip that we take before we even set foot outside of our home. It is the expectation that we set when we think about what is to come. The second trip is the actual experience when we're in the moment, when we're, hustling to the airport, when we're on the plane, when we are getting to the beach or the mountains or the lake or where have you. It's the moment in time. It is that element of mindfulness that we're in that moment as we are right now. And that third trip are memories, and that continues to evolve over time. But that third trip is really informed by the summation of our expectation and what we thought that trip was going to be, in combination with the true lived experience and how our brain interprets that, and we then form that as memory. And I think that is really important to keep in mind when we think about this mindset shift that needs to occur when we are in the state of dread on the travel treadmill, right? We need to recognize that Sjogren's tries to shrink our world. It tends to put us in this state of hypervigilance, of always being on alert, because frankly, our body is on alert. It is sensing that there are more dangerous signals coming in at a more rapid pace than, typical. We need to reclaim our right to experience joy and adventure and experience new places. And we need to rebel against the limitations by planning with intention and with confidence. And in doing so, we rise above this disease by proving that, no matter what happens, we got our own back and we're going to take each next thing as it comes. So this isn't just about packing eye drops, though that is quite helpful. And I'm making note of that because we're actually leaving town tomorrow. And I forgot them last time, and that was a bummer. It is about strategically planning so you can free up your mental and your physical energy to actually enjoy the trip you're on. So great travel starts before you even leave the house. Think of yourself as the CEO of your own health expedition. And here is your pre-trip briefing. First, you're going to bring your mobile pharmacy. It's non-negotiable. Gather all of your prescription medications, maybe your pilocarpine, your hydroxychloroquine, if you're on low-dose naltrexone. Pack enough for your entire trip, plus a few extra days. Delays happen. Always, always, always carry these medications on yourself, on your carry-on. Do not let anyone check these bags. Never put essential medications in your check bag. Only bad things happen when you do that. I try not to be super superstitious, but with that I am. Just keep them with you and it wards off badness. Okay. Second, your Symptom Relief Toolkit. This is your comfort kit. For your eyes, think in layers. Preservative-free artificial tears might be your go-to for daytime. For nighttime, especially in a dry hotel room, you want to bring along maybe a thicker gel or ointment like Lacrolube that can be your best friend. I sometimes too will bring a sleep mask. Not only is this helpful with blocking out light if it is not a particularly dark hotel room, or if I'm changing time zones, can be quite helpful, but it also helps keep any direct airflow from the air conditioner or, anything along those lines. It keeps that a bit more controlled. It's not as occlusive as some of the goggles that are out there, which certainly are another option, but I find that to be like a more comfortable in between. For your mouth, you want to bring your arsenal, your saliva substitutes, sprays. My personal favorite are some xylitol-containing lozenges. And I also started using some probiotic chews at night that have been pretty helpful. Xylitol not only stimulates saliva, but it also helps fight cavities. It's like a double bonus. And if you are worried about some of the headlines that came out about the impact of xylitol on your blood and cardiovascular health, it was kind of overblown. And I think I have some content on my YouTube or my blog that we'll eventually link to that will get my take on that. Also, pack your soft toothbrush. If you use an electric toothbrush, make sure to bring that, make sure it's charged. You want to have your toothpaste that has especially fluoride and likely maybe also has hydroxyapatite in it. I really love Dr. Jen's Super Paste and floss. Good hygiene, oral hygiene on the road is really critical. I also pack my tongue scraper. I find that to be really helpful. Just keeping everything in a better place. Now, third, your medical info packet. This is your safety net. On a single sheet of paper or a note on your phone, maybe a PDF on your phone, you want to have a list, an up-to-date list of all of your medications, your key diagnoses, any major allergies. One little pet peeve or kind of info as an allergist about your allergies, any medication you have on your allergy list, ideally, if you can remember what happened when you took that medication that caused a problem, write down what the problem was. If you can remember how soon it occurred after you took the medication, that's also helpful. It's a little overkill, but allergies and med allergies are kind of a thing. That can be super helpful if, the proverbial, what hits the fan and you have a medical emergency and you need that information handy. You also want the contact information for your healthcare team, for your doctors. This is one of the reasons I use Spruce with my Immune Confident Institute members, that they're able to get a hold of me in case of emergency. There is a workaround so that they can get me kind of anytime if I were to need to talk with rare exceptions, with someone from our team. If you need medical care away from home, this piece of paper, digital or physical, is really worth its weight, not only in gold, but maybe in platinum. I don't know if that's a saying, but we'll use it. Okay, so now you're packed, you're on your way, and here's how you can manage your symptoms in real time. Let's talk about the dry mouth. This might sound obvious, but carry your refillable water bottle everywhere. Don't wait till you're thirsty. Try to, make conscientious breaks where you are, not just sipping, but really ingesting a good cup or so of water. On the plane, the air is incredibly dry, so don't be shy about asking the flight attendant for extra water. You also can stimulate saliva by keeping some of those xylitol lozenges or other sugar-free candy on hand or gum on hand. Popping in even before a meal can make eating a bit more comfortable. And be mindful of dehydrators. I know it's on vacation, but just keep in mind alcohol, excessive caffeine may worsen your dry mouth. So just keep that in mind. Enjoy them in moderation and in whatever way you've discussed with your healthcare professional, your personal team. But for every one of those more dehydrating drinks, add in an extra glass of water. And make sure you're getting enough electrolytes or salt, right? Because water without salt just ends up directly as pee or urine. So you do need to get some electrolytes in your system as well. I am plus minus on these electrolyte drinks. A lot of them have a lot of sugar substitutes and other things, that artificial flavorings and things like that I'm like less keen on. But you do you and what works for you. All right. Now, for dry eyes, you want to try to create your own personal oasis as best possible, especially if you're like me and coach. Okay. On the plane, point the overhead vent away from your face. In your hotel room, you could run a hot shower for a few minutes to steam up the bathroom before you get ready. You might have to wipe down the mirror a little bit. You may also think about traveling with a portable travel humidifier, which might be worth a consideration if you find that a humidifier to be helpful at home. You also can protect your eyes from the elements. It's simple but crucial. This is where wraparound sunglasses can be helpful. They don't only protect you from the sun, but they do also create a barrier against wind and dust, maybe some sand, that could really irritate and take moisture out of your eyes. The 20-20-20 rule is also another great consideration to take in mind. If you're reading or if you're looking at a screen, if you're like me and you have your Kindle at every moment on vacation when you're not trying to make sure your kids are trying to unalive themselves at the pool, for every 20 minutes you're looking at something, you want to look at something 20 feet away for 20 seconds. That gives your eyes a much needed break and reminds you to blink. And finally, for general well-being, you got to pace yourself. This is the most important rule. The fatigue is real. Travel is real. Jet lag is very real. For jet lag, it is estimated that for every time zone you fly over, you need 1 day to really reacclimate to that change in schedule. So if it's a brief trip, sometimes I'll just suggest that patients try to stay on their usual home time zone routine as best possible so that you're not messing that all up. You don't have to see every single site when you were on a trip. Build in rest periods into your itinerary. Say you're going to a theme park type trip, right? Instead of hitting the theme parks every day, all day, the hottest time of the year, maybe you're going to try to go when it's a little bit off season. Plan on doing a lighter day at the park. You're going to come back and take a break. And then if you feel up to it, maybe you'll go back in the evening when it's cooled off again for, an extra hour or so. And then you'll have a rest day the next day where you're just hanging out in the shade by the pool or, in a cool lounge somewhere. Honor your body's limits. It is a key part of that rebellion we talked about. I'm going to use an example. I flew down to Mexico City, had an incredible opportunity to meet with a colleague, invited me to be on her podcast, which I'll be thrilled to share with you when I'm able to. Mexico City is very high in altitude. I didn't necessarily realize this off the bat, but it's on a mountain. It's beautiful. I unfortunately only had about 48 hours there, and I needed to be on to be able to work and to try to minimize my brain fog. I had a relatively stressful trip getting there with some delays and things that kind of threw me off. Didn't sleep super great. And I had really, really, really wanted to try to go to this cool museum in their equivalent of Central Park. It has all the Aztec history and everything in it. Once I got back from my work, my work part of the trip, I was done. And so I decided, you know what? I am going to enjoy this cool hotel room that I have by myself for once, which let me tell you, that was an incredible treat. And I got through another, I rested, took a little nap. I finished a nice little rom-com novel, and my brain tried to feel guilty and to feel like really bummed out. And I reframed. I'm like, what a gift that I have this, this second half of this day and evening to just veg and not do anything before I go back home. And I already wanted to go back to spend more than just, half a day exploring Mexico City. And so now it's a little higher priority that I do want to go back, and I will know that I'm going to need to really prepare and think about how that altitude may affect my energy as well. So these tips are just a starting point. They are really thinking about those 20% of actions that are going to give you 80% of your comfort and confidence while traveling. If you want to go deeper, if you want to understand the science behind the best eye drops, the nuances of anti-inflammatory diet on the road, strategies for managing fatigue and pain from world-class experts, that's where our virtual Sjogren Summit Library comes in. The live event for this year, 2025, has just concluded, but this knowledge is too important to disappear. Today, I am super excited to introduce the Sjogren Summit 4-year library. It is just $97, and with that, you get a lifetime of on-demand access to every single session from all 4 of our annual summits. It's over 80 hours of expert presentations covering topics we've touched on today and so much more. It's an entire vault of knowledge to help you become the most empowered traveler and advocate for your health. And a special note to our incredible 2025 All Access Pass supporters, we are so grateful for you. Please check your email for a special thank you offer to complete your library for a very small additional investment. Traveling with Sjogrens requires a little extra planning, but it is absolutely possible to do that with joy and with comfort. It's about being prepared, being kind to yourself, and remembering that you are, in the end, driving that plane. You deserve to see the world. You deserve to make memories. You deserve to live a full and vibrant life. I want to thank you for being here. And now, go start thinking about planning that next trip. Until next time, take care.